Okay, put a couple of these down. Today, what's up, once we get everybody tested, is that we're going to kind of go through some of the test and talk about what you thought of it, those who took it, and then we'll talk about the course and talk about ways to improve the course, things we like, things we didn't like, things we'd like to see about the course so far. I know we're not over, but we do have most of it now behind us. Good morning, good morning. Go ahead and grab your testing stuff. Go ahead and begin, please. The trash, let's put it all in one spot. So I'm going to get this kind of a gray bucket, and I will put that drop, and then I'll take the bag out when we're all done. So how about everybody right in there? There's a couple people. Good morning. Who's out there? Today's the 10th. And we got our first day of summer yesterday, huh? Hope everybody got out. Okay. Well, so I should have Oscar and Amina and Bella. Okay, do I have Oscar, Amina, or Bella out there? How many of you are still got the test to take? You're going to take a later one. One. Chelsea's the only one of folks that are here. Okay, that's fine. While we're waiting, let's just ask some other things. So, do you have tests this week, any of you? Yes, I'm nodding yes. What do you have this week? So you have two, so there's still a fair number going on this week. Psych, English, anybody else have some this week? Those are the main ones, huh? Okay. And the end of the month, we got one taking chem. Is there any whole groups that are taking something at the end of the month? Yeah, Alex?
I think I'm taking Calc BC.
Calc BC at the end of the month. Okay. Licia? AB also? Yeah? Okay. All right. So It's like calc folks are at the end of the month. I have some folks out there, but they're very quiet. So I don't know quite who is there. Strange. Wonder if I turned off the chat somehow. Okay, let's go ahead and begin, even though you're doing the Corona thing. We can do that, I think, at the same time. You can use your phones as a timer, by the way. That's okay with me. And then when your things is negative, just walk up and show it to me, and then you can pitch it or do what you'd like with it. Look at that, chalk. We're not going to have chalk anymore here. So I'd like to first talk about the test and then talk about the class. So here we go. With the test, how about we talk about the multiple choice first? So what was it like and how do you think it went? Give me some feedback. What was it like? How do you think it went? Lola?
I mean, I think it was okay. There's some questions that there were concepts that I didn't quite understand, like things that I just felt I had never learned before. But there were a few of those also just like you said, context clues to try and figure out, I guess. But I mean, some of it was hard, but time-wise, it wasn't that bad because we had an hour and 30 minutes for 60 questions, so a minute and a half per question. So.
Which doesn't seem like long to me, but you felt like that was okay for you for the time.
Yeah, I mean, it was okay in the sense where I had enough time, like 5 minutes to go back and do questions that I had skipped or like missed.
That's good. There's Oscar. Good morning. Good. Oscar, we're taking feedback on the test, on the multiple choice part. Okay, others, let's see how, thank you, Lola. Okay, so maybe enough time and some we didn't know, but a lot that we could do. Anthony.
I agree with Roland. I think the majority of the multiple choice stuff we've already reviewed, like for example, the presentation that you shared with us, there was a lot. And yeah, I mean, there was like one or two concepts that I feel like I hadn't learned before. Because I mean, it looked like we had. But other than that, I think also time-wise it was pretty okay. And the concepts, yeah, a couple of them were confusing, but most of the time it was pretty familiar.
And that presentation that I showed you a little bit of was helpful. Yeah? Okay, that's good to know. Good. I'll use that next year as well. Others on the multiple choice. Let's see what others thought. Oscar, same there. I don't know if you took it or not. If you did, tell me what you thought of the multiple choice. Multiple choice. How did you do? What did you think? Yelling.
I wanted to, like, I wanted to thought everything was okay. Thought I could answer most of the questions. It might just be, I don't know. But I feel okay about it because I don't know, possibly question correctly, and then I obviously did it once, but I always thought some.
Well, that's good. And I mean, part of that is recognizing the topics of the questions. And if you felt like you did that, then you're on the right track. Definitely, for sure. Okay, that's good to know. Anthony?
When I speak to I feel like most of the questions have to do focus like generally around the first book rather than the second book. It was like there was a couple of
Really? A lot on the first book. Okay. Well, then it was good that everybody reviewed that one. All right, Alex. Thank you, sir. Thanks, Lisa. Good. Any other multiple choice comments on how that section went? Yeah.
Like Anthony said, I think for next year, what would be great is if, like right before the exam, for the first week or so before the exam, you can review the first book as a class, because since we're all working on the second book at home, like we have it fresh in our minds. But in the first book, we haven't really like reviewed it, or like just general concepts from the first book, so that it's easier to kind of like connect back, even if you don't remember it fully, you
I'm writing as you speak. So review first book concepts as a class before test. Thank you. I'll be really honest. What I do with all your suggestions is I put them up on the wall and I try to work them into next year's class. And I've done that every year the last 5 or 10 years, which is how I have the class that I have now. But I try to integrate as much as I can of your suggestions. Anything else multiple choice wise? And Sophie?
And how about some of them where I thought of the reviews when you see that like get like positive and I just need to understand the question right. But I felt like also a lot of the questions revolved around the you mentioned periodic table trends.
Periodic table trends. We're in a lot of multiple choice, okay?
Review those before the
Good.
exam. And they were also in the PowerPoint.
Good. I'm writing as you speak. Okay. Multiple choice. Anything else? Okay. For the FRQ, I'd like a description from you of what the questions were about first. So I know you probably had a bunch of APs and stuff last week. Can you remember, oh, there was a FRQ on this or on that? So tell me what you remember of the FRQs. Give me one that you remember. Lola.
I think that the first three questions that were so fun were more around gas laws and equilibrium constants and things like that. I remember having to find for a basic solution, you have to find a KB and then the concentration of like the OH minus and things like that.
Okay.
And, like only having like the pH. So there was a little bit of that, but I felt like a lot of it was gas laws for some reason.
Okay. All right. Gas laws, KB, KP, maybe pressure as well.
There's one question centered around like entropy and also entropy, which was I think was actually pretty much well. I feel like like that whole equation of delta T equals delta H minus delta S.
Mhm.
Yeah, so that was I think that was like a good question, but I don't remember. Yeah, it was like find delta G, the values, and then find delta S.
Good. What else? What other either long or short questions do you recall? What some of the topics were, Lola?
I think there was also finding the concentration of like Ag plus in a solution, just like one of those long problems.
Was it using like data from like we did on a graph,
It was from like an experiment. So
like the photospectrometry we did, where we used our machine over here to get it, or was something different?
I don't think so. I think there was multiple choice on that, but I'm pretty sure this one was like they laid out the experiment, like we had done on some of the previous FRQs.
Yeah.
And then we had to, from the experiment data, we had to figure out like the molar mass and then like the mass concentration.
Was it like the lab we did, kind of? The precipitate lab? Okay, well, that's good we did that lab, huh? So getting the Ag plus, like a precipitate lab. That's good. That's the chemical we used as well, Ag plus. Good. Other questions that you recall? And Sophie?
I think it's not one of the questions, but it was definitely helpful when we reviewed some of the other like the past FRQ exams in class because a lot of the questions were like the students did that and why did they do why is this wrong and right how you could have done it better or why did it add the like why did it add like weight to something and it was definitely helpful that we did that in class.
The whole practice what they were asking for in some of those questions. Let me write that down. Thank you. Thank you, Ellie. Thanks, Jesse. Thank you, Aiden. And thank you, Phoenix. And thank you, Penelope. Thank you. And thanks, Anne-Sophie. Good. Let me finish writing what Anne-Sophie said. I know we got more comments. Okay, let me paraphrase, Anne-Sophie, what you said so far. So the FRQs we did in class were helpful, especially practicing like ones that asked about justification or what went wrong, so to speak, in an experiment. I'm going to come back to you. Anthony, I saw you next.
I don't really remember multiple choice. Bond energies.
Bond energies.
Bond energies for a bond between, it was like there was two options between nitrogen and oxygen. It was like two double bonds or one triple bond and a single bond. And that was
That was hard, huh? Okay, finding a bond energy.
What we did also was that question, there was like 3 other questions relating to that question, but couldn't find the bond energy, we were looking at 2 other questions.
And I hope I told you this, but you can always make up an answer and then just use it in the next answers. Okay. Sorry. Okay, Anthony, thank you. Good. And we are complete now. Good. Thanks, everybody, for testing. Let's get some other comments. I'm going to go to Ellie first here.
Yeah, so are you so so like I'm just gonna skip over it if I even have couple questions that make sense to answer. But I think I just skip over that question and then do the rest of it.
Yeah. And that's fair enough to do. Yeah. Skip over ones you can't do and just come back to them. That's the best thing to do. And Sophie.
One of the things that I think definitely helps to practice more is
Some errors.
yeah, skills.
And that's skill.
Yeah, because there were definitely a lot of questions that asked about like the error in the experiment and then they even used like the technical description, and from that description you had to find the error. And there was like sometimes like you would sit there for 5 minutes, 5 minutes. And so that's something I really want to do.
Good. Yeah, an explanation for some of that. With lockdown and everything else, we just did not get to a couple of labs that we're still going to do. We did some source of error in the first semester on some labs, but you know what? I know we didn't do hardly any labs here in the second semester. It just was not good this year. we'll do some source of error on the titration labs, but I know that's a little too late for the test, but we'll still cover some of that in terms of course material. Yeah, it's kind of a nasty year that way. Okay, more sources of error questions. Eddie.
Like having this is everything, there's one person that didn't understand that said that this student he made a claim and then he said evidence like that came up. And then the question was identify the two sources of error
In his evidence?
but he only gave like one piece of evidence. So maybe I misread the question.
It was one sentence of evidence that there was
Okay, so one sentence with evidence.
reason.
Two mistakes in it, and those were hard to find. Good, it's starting to come back. I appreciate your thinking about this. Anthony.
We just said, I think there was a couple of those that
The FRQs?
yeah, I think that was one of the more easier ones. Otherwise, we gave the essence and you could say was wrong. Like we gave specific points.
Yeah.
Whereas the other one, they just said there's somebody in the experiment that's wrong, we're not going to say what it is. So that one, they did specific claims, you could argue that. But then in general, they said justify your claim, like, and they were wrong or something.
Yeah.
But for some of them, it was somewhat easy to say, like, for example, for like changing two questions, you just said, it was one power nature question, where you just said the system had like the surroundings.
Yeah.
For the other ones, yeah, it
So- So am I right, Anthony, that there was asking about source of error, but it was very open-ended in terms of what they asked for? Okay. Okay. Good. Lola.
I never put a general strategy. I tried to for the first three questions because they're way differently.
Yeah.
The first three were 10 points and the others were 4.
Right.
I tried to like completely finish 1 through 3 first.
Yeah.
Make sure I didn't skip any sub questions and like was descriptive in my answers and whatever. And then on the final part, I like skipped through and tried to do the ones that I knew I could in the time I had.
Fair enough.
But I remember the last question that was like worth only 4 points was they gave us like the identities of MG that are found on the Earth, and then had to find like an unknown type of MG from another planet, and then finally find like what actually was the
Like an isotope, like another isotope.
Yeah, based on its like molar mass or whatever.
Yeah.
It was like a really lengthy question. I didn't really understand how to do it at first because it was phrased so strangely.
I'm writing that one down. Okay, short question. And you're kind of finding the identification of this MG based on whatever.
Like the molar mass and all of these different things to it. It was like a 8-part question, but it was difficult to like fit into the time.
Yeah. Gotcha. Uh-huh. And Sophie.
I know there were some on the FRP question that I found helpful that I had to use the Delta relationship, but I did so much review the relationship between Delta and Delta S. And so there was one
I didn't say it one more time. We didn't remember it enough, or
no, yeah, I didn't review the relationship at all. And so then there was a question about it, and there were like 3 questions about it, and also on multiple choice, and like you have to like find a relationship between it and it's kind of like that, what was the sign of the delta S, and the delta H was negative or something.
okay, so I'm going to put under review, I'm going to put review more relationships between delta G, delta H, and delta S. Okay, thank you, Anthony.
It was also what Lois said about the, like, Weiss and magnesium. There was one question, a sub question for that was about ionization energy. And they gave us ionization energy for magnesium and then for that unknown element, and they asked us to identify what element it was based on that. I found that to be a little bit challenging because I remember us talking about like where's the great jump that would be in that column or whatever.
Yeah.
And then there was two like pretty significant jumps. It was one from like 2 to 3, like 5 to 6 or something.
Yeah.
So that kind of confused me, but I just went with the first one.
Okay, so it's ionization energies, and that was an FRQ also. So Anthony, we're talking ionization energies, and you had to look at where big jumps were in those energies and maybe try and identify one or more elements that they asked about. Okay. Good. What else do we remember? And Sophie?
I remember there was one with like,
KSP? So sorry, sorry.
yeah. And then there was definitely one where like at some point you have to find absorbance and
On what?
absorbance.
Absorbency.
Yeah.
Oh, so the Beers law was on there. at some point.
Yeah, and that was like that was one that I just skipped over because I felt like a person. So I knew that was taking more time than all the other ones.
So there was something on Beers law on the FRQ part with absorbency. Okay. And also something on the KSP problem, you said? Good. Other ones that you remember? Any details of FRQ questions you can bring to mind? Yeah, Anthony.
There was one question, I didn't find this question difficult, I'd say, but it was a diagram of something recently with the salt springs and the electrodes.
Yeah.
When they asked us like to identify the cathode or anode,
Mhm.
and then I think also like I think that might have been multiple choice actually, where it was like they asked us to identify the most likely element and what the cathode could have been.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so I thought that we would do that was actually pretty helpful.
Okay, that's good. So that was based on stuff we did fairly recently, wasn't it? Okay, so maybe under multiple choice we did identify cathode or anode in a cell. Okay, other exact or murky memories. And Sophie?
I don't know. It might be just me, but I felt like the multiple choices really something.
What about the first one, which is for Lois
And
and
the
also,
second one was more of the
Yeah, like these.
and this was like really good.
Uh-huh.
I agree because I think the first one was like more like general ideas, so you can apply that to almost what those questions was like the thermodynamics and like what's thermodynamically favorable.
Yeah.
Things are like longer questions, so the FRQ took up more of that.
Interesting. Okay. That's a comment I haven't heard before, so that's probably something that really went to how they designed the test this year. Whether that was on purpose or not, I really don't know, Lola. But I haven't had other groups that said that, so that's interesting. Okay. All right, and Sophie.
There was one question that like kind of shifted, like it started off as one thing and then it shifted to whether it was the thermodynamics.
Yeah.
And it was kind of funny because like, I was still like stuck on the beginning, like the first part of it, and you were like, wait, what's happening? So it was kind of confusing when they like just shifted the whole other thing.
Yeah, as they have on some of the FRQs that we did together. Starts out with one topic and it shifts totally into something absolutely different. Yeah, especially the longer ones, I find that, was this a longer one maybe?
Yeah, one of the first.
Yeah, they can really shift the topic on those, that's for sure.
Yeah, I find it helpful to people who
You guys had a tough year. And what I mean by that is we had lockdowns, we had testing we had to do, we had me fussing with the computer every hour, we had all sorts of things. We had challenging conditions for our folks at home too, to try and stay connected and do labs with you or try and understand me from far away. So I know it was not an easy year for any of us, really. And I'm very proud of how well you guys have done. My goal for the course every year is to prepare you to do well on the AP test. That's the whole point of this course. So I want to break the course into parts, as it were. Well, not really parts. Okay, let me make my headings and then I can talk to you about generally how I do this. So, okay, so I got some sheets here. One is I'll continue the other sheet, which was suggestions for the course. I want feedback on you from things that worked. You're like, oh yeah, well, that was helpful. And things that didn't work or were missing or were just, you thought maybe we should have less of something. So let me see. So less of this didn't work or missing. So please, everyone, really think about the course. How can I improve it for the following years? So we'll just do this through the rest of our time here, this period. How are we doing? We still got a little time, and into next period as well. Okay, Chelsea.
And then just in general, I know things got kind of messed up because of online school and stuff, but I think it's always easier when we're working on a section of the book that we're also talking about in class, or that it really aligns, because otherwise it's really confusing to kind of keep up. And then sometimes I have this moment where I'm working on the book and I remember something from like that we did in class 3 weeks ago. But it's like, I don't know, it's just kind of confusing to manage both at the same time. And I think it went really well like while we were in school. I guess like online school really messed that up. The whole program. But it's
You felt like we got really out of rhythm when we were at home?
I think so.
That could well be.
It was a bit hard to sort of keep up or stay at the same pace as everyone was. So I think everybody kind of like developed their own pace.
Okay, so let me paraphrase this. So in what I assigned in the book, to align that to what we're talking about in class. Was part of it that some of us were sort of lagging behind, even though I kept marching on into the material. Maybe, yes, some of that, okay. And I'll write here, especially in lockdown time. Good. What else? What else? Anthony?
I think it would be great if we just have maybe like like I don't remember exactly doing like that choice earlier on in the year. Like, for example, maybe every time there's section, so we do like a multiple choice on it or network view. So I feel like
So you mean like a quiz on it?
yeah, sure. Like,
Okay.
at the end of the year, I feel like jumping into full bar, like I've never seen this form of question before, and like
Yeah.
also phrasing the questions down to multiple choice. So just like practicing that kind of format.
So perhaps if we can do it, a quiz after each chapter, both including FRQ and multiple choice format, just to understand it. I'll go across this way. And Sophie?
I thought it really helpful to first talk about the big ideas, like while we were working on this, because the big ideas, like, we wasn't really in class, we were just like, they help you understand Cheryl better. I don't know if that makes any sense, but I feel like Cheryl said the exact same thing, which is like, for me, it is like a different phrasing, and sometimes that's
The different phrasing from Cheryl or from you?
from Cheryl. And I thought it was was helpful to also have your explanations of this stuff, because sometimes like she has it confusing. I don't know.
So it's helpful for me to give the big ideas
Yeah.
before you delve into some of the Cheryl details. Got it. Ellie?
Generally think with communication about the communication was actually really helpful. I wish I had more time to go over it instead of like telling. And I was gonna.
So I'm going to send that to you earlier.
Yeah, I was gonna say spring break, but that for some different covered. So I don't know. I thought it would be better to have a lot of these 3 weeks.
Okay. Send review. Good. I'm writing to send that earlier and that it was helpful, but you could have used more time with it. Penelope?
I think at the beginning of the semester, really helpful was when I did small, questions. I thought it was really helpful because, then you can learn how to respond to questions, maybe, and then you can grade on it. So I thought that was really helpful.
Were those the ones I did in class or I signed on the AP class?
No, they were
In class.
Yeah, like for example, we did one about access, and then.
And amount of chemical and excess, and what was the yield and so forth, like that? Okay. Yeah, that's true. And the second half between lockdown and frankly me feeling so far behind, I was worried about actually getting through the material. I didn't take time to do those, Penelope. That is so true. And that's when I assigned more of them on the AP classroom, which I want to hear from you guys about because I don't know if you're just frustrated. Some of you did them, some of you didn't even do them. And I just like, I really felt like they were good questions I tried to pick out. but it wasn't very successful, and I don't really know why, whether it was Corona or whether you were just overburdened with all your classes, but let me continue with Penelope.
I think it was because the one we did in class, we did before, and then we did test.
Yeah.
But with the online, we did do it at home, and sometimes it took like weeks, and then we had to do the online quiz, and it was kind of like a jump back to
That material.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's why.
That's why it was so challenging.
Yeah.
Okay, let me write that. All right, so. Okay, so the AP classroom quizzes we had without review, which made them harder. And often a couple weeks after we had finished that chapter with that material. Penelope, when do you think it would be most effective to give a quiz like that? At what point?
Maybe right after we're done.
Right when it's done, like if I sign it, so on a Thursday or whatever, so give a quiz on Friday or whatever.
That was all that I had.
Right. I think part of the reason I waited, quite frankly, is I knew a lot of you got behind this year for various reasons. And I felt sort of sorry for folks that were behind, so I sort of delayed that. But in doing so, I think, yes, Penelope, I ended up having it too far back in our minds because we'd forgotten a lot of that material. Okay, good. Let's get other comments. I think I'll take, let me take Aiden, and then I'll take Alicia right after that. Aiden?
We started doing this towards the end of the year, but I think it would have been also really helpful if we did this like a whole year's group work. I think doing group work and like sort of like bouncing our ideas off each other and kind of solve a problem, I think that was really helpful.
When we were reviewing towards the end?
And even if it's not like going over like a multiple choice or whatever, I think just doing group work is really helpful.
Others, keep your thoughts. I'm going to get to all of you after break. Take a break, but we'll continue more. Okay. is the 17th. Cupshot ist ein anderes Programm, oder?
Nee, das ist von Active
Hier habe ich keine Ahnung. Sieht nicht wirklich so aus, aber ich verstehe
manchmal weiß ich, dass es
Ja?
manchmal habe ich es nicht.
Oh, stop.
Yeah, but like, lagi maganda rin mo, ich habe mir weil halt mit meinem Ärmel drüber.
Yeah, Danke. Okay, so let's continue. So hands away, please, and let's trying to focus here. So again, what I have is at least 3 sheets, more if I run out. Suggestions, yes, ideas that work, keep doing it, Mr. Weiss, and no, this didn't work, or could we do more of this, or this was missing and it would have been good if we could have done more of this. So all those sorts of things. So let's see it.
I personally found the online courses really helpful because it forced me to study concepts that maybe I forgot about or knew this. Like, even though we were studying like I think chapter 5 in the second book, but then we assigned quiz on chapter 1 of the second book, I thought that really good because it forced me to study something that I forgot about.
Okay.
So to be honest, like the randomness was okay for me because the randomness of units
Yeah.
that was okay
Because it forced you into doing it.
yeah, but I think part of the reason it was so overwhelming was we switched from fall to the second semester. So again, I would say like
All of those AP quizzes.
yeah, I think like slowly like integrate them also within first semester because then you get used to it also and then
Yeah.
time to get used to it. Yeah.
Good. I'm writing that down as you speak. Okay, so integrate the AP classroom quizzes starting first semester. Good. Oh,
I think that online quizzes were really difficult for me, not because of the content, just because I couldn't actually submit them. So like it was something either with like my lockdown browser or something like that where I would start working on it and if it was an FRQ, I would like fill out all my work and do my answers for it and
Right.
it would just randomly crash. And then
Yeah.
all of my work would either be erased or I would have to like
oh no.
restart it and then some of my work would be saved and then I only could end up doing like 2 of them because I did them on my brother's computer. But he had online school, so he needed to use it. And like, I would think I would be submitting the quiz, but then in all honesty, it would just crash. And then it would, I thought that I would completed the quiz, and then it wouldn't. So it was really difficult for like me to be able to get that point or to get the credit for those points.
Yeah.
I would spend my time doing it, and then just because of technology, it wouldn't work.
Right. And I definitely don't want that.
Yeah. So I think like maybe an alternative would be like, if people can't, or if the online quizzes don't work for them, they can have like quizzes as well, just like on paper or like a practice FRQ quiz or something like that, so that they can still get that practice and still like.
Yeah, although that's really difficult for me to organize because I can't, I'm not allowed to print the stuff that's all online. And I don't really have AP quizzes, FRQ material for every chapter. Let me ask this. Did any of you do the AP quizzes in school down in the library? Did you do one there, Alex?
I think I did like 1 or 2. But the hardest part was stay on track with them, so you like give us a deadline. And a lot of people wasn't able to make it. The hardest part is just trying to find time to do it.
Yeah.
And then studying for it like you're doing other work and like taking material in class. And so like maybe 1 or 2 times I would have to like in here in the library on a Friday during lunch, like just trying to finish it up so I can meet the deadline and stuff.
Gotcha. And also, I know this year with lockdown and with some grades were not allowed in the library at different times. So I know that may have been, speaking here to Lola and others, that may not have been a possibility. But I'm wondering if in the future, if I could emphasize that and make sure the library has time set aside for you, if that could be done. Maybe even in class, although I have so little extra time in class for you. But I want it to be not an issue, Lola, that your system keeps crashing. And I want an alternative. Paper would be difficult for me. And frankly, I kind of want it online so you have that experience in case we have other online tests that, I mean, I don't know where this is going. The class may be someday entirely online with in terms of how students take APs. So I do want them to have that experience, but I don't want to be a torture because of the technology involved. So I'm looking for ways that could still be achieved. Let's start and go across again here. Alex,
So I like the idea of having to sort of review old topics in course and whatnot. So I prefer sort of frequent quizzing and frequent testing, just to help keep up with the material of course. I know another class, we have a lot of quizzes and a lot of tests that review everything we've done in the past, units or sections, and it helps us keep up with the material. So I kind of
did he take stuff not very old or also gives with older things?
he uses old, he uses recent, he also makes up some questions. So he does sort of a little bit of all, he takes material from other teachers and stuff like that.
Mhm.
But yeah, typically after a big unit or after a few units, he'll do frequent testing or what we just learned. And then so quizzes come together to make tests, tests come together to make a Duolingo, and then you have all of it.
So let me paraphrase some of what you said, Alex. So, for instance, I could review with students and then quiz them over older or more recent concepts.
Well, that, yeah, and it causes students to actually keep up with the material. So, for example, when you push back the quizzes this year, it gave us more time, and I guess made us feel like we had time to work on the book rather than actually do the book. So kind of was lacking. I feel like that might have been, bad.
It might have been more of a kick in the butt to keep you on track.
Gave us the time. Not that it's your fault. I'm just saying that.
No, it's not. I understand that. Yeah, no. Okay, so let me write that down and I'll try and say it back to you. Okay, let me paraphrase that. Alex, let's see if this is what you're saying. So, in addition to reviewing and quizzing over older or more recent concepts, give more frequent quizzes on recent material to make or to urge students to keep up better in the book. All right? And Sophie, then Anthony.
Another thing that would be like the online quizzes is like sometimes if you're not being administrator, like I might consider that my dad being administrator because it wasn't originally mine. I was young when I got it and he wanted to control it to make sure I wasn't doing anything bad. And so then in order to access the lockdown browser, my dad would have to put a password in it, and then it would crash. I would have to open it back up, and he would have to put the password in again. And it was just really annoying to always have to go ask for the password, but also for him because he would have clients that he would be on the phone with. And then like and the constant thing where you'd be like, use your password, and he would pass it. So then like eventually I just stopped using it for me because I always have to go to him to ask for his password. And so and he couldn't really remove the thing because the lockdown browser triggered it.
Yeah. So again, I still want to keep with the technology, but I want us to, brainstorm about ideas for that and for the problem with the technology that others have had, and come up with ways where And so this year was really hard because it's a lockdown. I know the other problem is, even if you tried maybe want to do this at a friend's house, it wasn't possible because of lockdown this year. But perhaps in the future that may be.
But one of the things that I was saying is I would do is like old exams, because like on the college board, they have like the old AP chemistry exams, and so I would like print out one of them, and I would like see what we had done and what corresponded with the current quiz, and I would just use that to practice.
Yeah, it's kind of unfortunate, but some of that is easier said than done. Some of those I can use, some of my problem actually is a lot of these questions involve stuff from chapters we haven't read yet. So if I want to quiz you on chapter 7, and there's stuff on a question that is on chapter 8 and 9, even if you divide up the question, it just makes it really difficult as a teacher to find pure questions for a pure subject, a pure chapter 8 or 9. So I'm bringing some, what I like about the AP classroom, frankly, is everybody, I could find exact questions on each chapter, okay? And pure questions on that chapter, so I know you wouldn't be trying to figure out something from chapter 12 when you're on chapter 8. And that's difficult. Yeah.
The chronic pattern also has like specified ones. So I thought I would think like chronic pattern, they also have specified ones.
Yeah, okay, I haven't used Khan Academy for physics, I have not used it for AP Chem, but they had some good stuff too, huh? Okay, Anthony.
I thought one really great was that we didn't do that many with the labs. Like I know this because of Corona was kind of restricting, but I found myself like referencing stuff we did at the very beginning of the year in the labs on the AP exam. So I think that's
The labs were helpful.
yeah, they were very helpful. I think even though we didn't do that many, I still found myself referencing them on the AP exam. So I don't know, maybe like reviewing those in the future, those the AP exam would be helpful. Or even just like using more in my notes, just telling this to lockdown stuff. Yeah, those are really great.
Okay. Good. Labs are helpful. Do more, maybe more of them, or review them. Okay. Good. Ellen.
When you say quizzes, like when I go home, I start doing stuff like math and I can do my work. But I was going to do it with later in the day. When I would be like, oh, I need to do this last. I felt like I was going to do quizzes. I would go do them in the night. So I
It
mean,
was too late before you had to go to sleep tomorrow.
no, the deadline, I mean the deadline. One time was at 6 p.m. and then one time was at 10 p.m. And I think even extending it to the people on Friday, I mean like, or
Okay, so that's what I want. I want for you and everybody, what should I do about the deadline of those AP classroom things? I hesitate to put it at midnight because I wouldn't necessarily want my son and daughter up to freaking midnight working on some quiz. On the other hand, I don't want to put it like 4 in the afternoon because you got classes then, and I don't want that to happen either. I also want to figure, I'm also worried any deadline I put and how quick this comes with. Some of us get it done ahead of time and some of us procrastinate until the last minute, and that's really hard on AP classroom. If you have any issues at all, then you can't get it done, and boom, there's the deadline. So what's your suggestion? What time should I, Ellie, maybe have the deadline? What time of day? Really, yeah? Okay.
Like a lot of, even if you set the deadline at midnight, I don't think a lot of us are going to be up at like 11:30 doing it. I think a lot of us are going to be done before.
Okay.
Anyways, just in case we don't have time enough to sleep in.
And I have like after school stuff doing at work, so I'm home at a certain time.
Okay, consider it done. All right, so I'll make the deadline midnight for AP classroom quizzes. And, you know, and I'll be honest, I found some of the things I assigned, some were not so hard, but some were pretty hard. But that's why I graded them on the AP scale. So when I gave you points, you might have noticed they were considerably higher than you might have guessed because I used the same as I used on the clausura for first semester, that same grading scale to give you points. Because I understand it's difficult material on the AP classroom quizzes as well. So I'm rewarding you for doing that. Okay, good. Let's go on. Other questions, comments, suggestions, things that went pretty well in the class, things you'd like to see improved, or something to do more of. Ellen.
What Alex was saying, sort of, add on, like our other teacher puts in on her test, it's like from 1 to like 20, like less than 1 to 28, but we're going to do everything from 20 so far, and not just a specific section.
Yeah.
I find that slightly helpful, but we have to study more. It helps you kind of like become super solid on the user and you get it on. And then you get tested with them studying. There was one question that you had from
So I think on AP classroom questions, there could be older review material on that. I think we're students know ahead of time. Okay, Mike and Sophie.
I thought the online presentation was really helpful at the beginning.
At the beginning,
Yeah, I thought we could have maybe like reviewed them a little bit more in the second semester. But I thought like I sort of took them up because my brother was also doing chemistry, so I was like trying to keep up and he's asking for my help with what it is. But like on the AP exam, like, there was a question where like, there was like what precipitate will form, and like they asked for like, the formula, and I knew immediately because there would be like APNO3 and not APNO2 because of the
good. Okay, let me write that down. I ordinarily do 1 or 2 second semester too, but with lockdown and me running out of time, I just didn't do it this year, which was unfortunate. Okay, so ion quizzes, and that was my hope, Anne Sophie, is that by memorizing, you could give formulas really easy. Okay. Lola, could you put your phone away, please?
Some of the other like purely memorization topics, like the iron quiz, so like the geometric, like the molecular, exactly. Or things like the strong acids or bases that we have to memorize, maybe we could also have just to make sure we actually work on memorizing. But I always tell myself saying like, yeah, I'll memorize it, but then I have to plan.
Good suggestion. I've done that some years. This year, I just didn't feel like to have the time. So let me write that as a suggestion. So, in class, ooh, I like that. Okay, so in class, geometric shape and angle or angles and strong acids and bases, quick quizzes. Yeah. So those could be just like 5-minute quizzes. Thank you. I'll start again. Anthony?
I think what would really help was I just like generally throughout the course of the book, I found myself at the beginning of the year being very much on top like the work of the book, then going into lockdown and coming back out of it, and then like off of all my other work, I found myself procrastinating a lot of time with the book and behind the chapter. So I think maybe like checking
Thanks, Anthony. And I knew that was happening. And it just, especially during lockdown, it made me furious at myself that I just couldn't, with the guidelines we had, figure out a way to collect your books, grade them, and get them back to you when you guys were at home. And that was for a couple of months there. And then by the time you came here, I was so behind. All I got was in book 2, like chapter 1 or even 2, or even less for some of you. So, and by the way, either now or this week, not Chelsea, because I want you to use yours still. But I need your book at some point, and I need to like grade the whole thing. So if you don't have it today, bring it to me Wednesday, okay? But I got to start grading those, and that I think would have had I done that as I did the last couple of years, Anthony, I think it would have helped keep students more on track because then procrastination wouldn't really have been an option. And I think it really helped the last few years when I did that. This year, that check by me just was not there. I just couldn't do it. To be honest, I really like having these workbook aspects, so you're writing right in it. But that's the disadvantage is I can't really grade them easily unless I take them from you or grade them while you're doing the lab, which we didn't have second semester. But thank you for telling me this. Penelope.
What I found helpful was when we had like a first full period just to ask questions about the book and then go over it. Because sometimes the answer to would say a different answer. So I thought that was really helpful.
When we took time to do that.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, I will say, as a group, one thing you guys could improve on is I didn't have very many of you asking questions this year. And I don't know why that is. I had the same 3 or 4 of you, honestly, most hours asking questions, which as a teacher was kind of frustrating. Most years I've had many different students asking questions, and I don't know why that is, but that's something for you to think about. Because I can't answer questions unless I have them from you. And I like to have lots of different students ask questions. But I'm writing Penelope that, yes, to have like one period to ask and answer questions for you is helpful. And Sophie.
I thought it was also helpful, but a lot of times, like, when I was, like, looking, like, I had the same question as somebody else, and so, or the, like, process for one of the questions that I had was, like, similar. But most of the time, I was also, like, very from behind, and then you would still ask a question about, like, the last section of the previous chapter, but then you would have to go to the next chapter, and then I was, like, afraid to ask a question about the previous chapter.
Right. I try to keep that open to a certain extent, but I understand how you felt. Yeah, it's hard to say, oh, we're on chapter 5, but I have a question on chapter 3 or something like that. So I do understand that. Anthony?
Yeah, I agree with them. But most of the time, I was just the person behind it. It was just like on me. I think the deadlines with maybe like a great rhythm. But I remember the first semester, like up to like the first 6 or 7 chapters, I was like, for example, I worked that rhythm would ask questions and do chapters. It's actually really helpful. And just what sentence and after the talking and everything was, yeah, it was, I think it was mostly just, at least personally for me, I was just behind, so I didn't ask questions on the chapter.
Okay. All right. Good. Here's an idea. Let me think of what you guys think of this. What if next year, assuming we don't have lockdown and stuff again, what if I try and gather student books like Wednesday, and then I can grade not a lot, but I could grade like 1 chapter for everybody. So if I gathered them Wednesday, graded the chapter, and we gave them back Thursday, so you'd be only 1 night without them. You think that would work for students? Let me write that down. So I'd collect books Wednesday, grade, give back Thursday. And if a student was sick or something, obviously I'd make, adjustments to that, but it might help students keep more on track. Thanks, Antonine, for bringing that to my attention. And Antonine, continue.
I just,
Yeah.
I think that most of them was like, assuming everything in our book, but if you could maybe tell us like maybe for something that we know that we're going to need for next class or bring it. Because a lot of the times I found myself maybe some of it's like into the book,
It's a big weight, I know.
yeah, and then the next time when we did this book, I didn't have it. So I didn't really know what to bring. Even if I did bring it every time, it was a lot.
Yeah, yeah, and that's, let me write something about that, and I'll see if I can collect an idea in my head that could be helpful for this. Okay, so when I can, Anthony, let students know when to bring books and when they don't have to bring the books. Okay. I'd have to think about that myself. And Sophie?
I think the first one is like the first semester, like when we say on Monday, like, oh yeah, on Wednesday we'll have like chapter 1 questions or something. And like it was really good for me because then I could go through the book and be like, oh, and like mark, like put a sticky note where I had a question. So then like I wouldn't be flipping around in the book during class trying to find the question. And the second one is like during lockdown, I think at some point I was so far behind in the book because like I love all that and it's like changes for me to be in the same room while I'm working, and then I would just like sleep or like do all my classes on my bed, and then
That was challenging.
yeah, and then eventually it got to the point where I was like, I just need like a deadline, and like if I have to, I will ship it to somebody to like grade it because like I just needed somebody to give me that push to be like, okay, this is the deadline, like like mail it to me. I don't care what you do, and like that was very like that was something that I really needed.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. And I knew that would happen with lockdown. That's one reason I hated it so much, because I couldn't be there with you to urge you and keep you on track, quite frankly. Lola.
A good strategy for me is just honestly, I didn't bring my book to class that often because it was so heavy and kind of like a burden to carry. Because I would like write down if I had any questions on the chapter I was working, I would write it down in my folder or something, and I could just page this problem.
Yeah.
Or if we were working on questions from other students in class and I hadn't done stuff that I was already doing, ahead of me or something.
Yeah.
I would write it all down in my folder and then just transfer that into my book later at home. So I would like forget it or not want to bring it because I was working on it or something like that. And it was easy. And then like with that, like Anson said, being able to know when you're going to be grading it or when we're going to be working on it in class or something.
I didn't know when I was going to collect it.
Exactly. And then I can bring it for them because then that's like the only day I really need it to have it. Otherwise, I can just leave it at home and work on it then.
Yeah, although if I can tell you ahead of time, because sometimes there's something that we refer into the text or data that's in the back of the book, especially book 2, where I know you needed those numbers to do a lab or to do whatever. Sometimes that happens. Okay, yeah, yeah, that strategy certainly could work too. Yeah, just writing stuff down that you don't want to ask about, or writing stuff down that others have asked about. Sure, yeah. Good to do that. Okay, other questions, suggestions, more of this, less of that. What was missing? What worked? What could be done better?
One thing that worked for me was writing notes on the board because I would constantly be taking my notes from the board into my folder, and I had all of my notes from my class in one place in my folder. So it was kind of difficult during online school just because like oftentimes you couldn't see the board or something like that.
Yeah.
But just like in general, like in-person learning, it's really nice to have it like right in front of you because also if you're talking and you're not quite ahead, or like if I were to be copying something down that you were saying, it's easier to be able to like visualize it, and then like if you're getting behind, still be able to write it down and then kind of catch up later. And then you can review to it. Like I reviewed all of my notes from class for studying for the AP exam because it's just like I had it all in one place.
Good. Reviewing the notes was helpful. Having the notes on the board was helpful. In many ways, I'm a really old-fashioned teacher. I know that because I do a lot of Frontalunterricht to introduce the material. On the other hand, I'll be honest, the material is so much that were I to arrange the class in some way where students prepare things and students, it would just, I think, be overwhelming and we would never finish. That's one reason I do it this way. So my philosophy, Lola, and I hope it's working, I want to know if it's working, is at least in terms of presenting material, I like to do it ahead of time. So you see some things before you have them in the book. And I try and emphasize the really important ideas. So you have an idea that, oh, maybe this or that section of Cheryl is not so important. This one really is, or these terms are really important.
I was really helpful because like all the important stuff was on the board, and then I copied that down. My notes is a lot easier to review with 10 pages of notes and going into like my 2 giant books of notes that I had like done all of my like work inside of. It's just easier to like have it in front of you there and it be in your own handwriting and be the own ideas, like the big ideas rather than just like all the content from the book.
Mm-hmm. Okay. For the Joseph.
I think it would also be really helpful to have some of those concise list of all the topics or their subtopics because I know we have the books and the chapters, but I think there's a lot of sort of overlap between them. Or I'm not really sure, but
There's some.
exactly. And also some chapters in book 1 were really similar to chapters in book 2, but then there were still differences. So I think for me it was just difficult to sort of distinguish between different topics or really classify things into themes. Or and also remember everything because it is a lot of material. So then they're like, oh, I forgot we did that, or I forgot that existed. So having a really concise and clear list of all the topics would be helpful.
Would have been helpful, like an overview.
Exactly. And this is like that would also help with the data studying as well. Just so we know like which things we should cover, and like not to forget anything.
I did that at one point for an old book I used to use. Maybe it's time to try and do that with the Cheryl books. Thank you.
One of the things that I found helpful, especially during the lockdown, was even though we couldn't do that because we were all at home, we still tried to keep us like doing like something. And so like we would do demos and everything, and I thought that was very helpful because then you could visually see what was happening. And something that I did to study for the AP exam was that on the college board there's a list of all of the units and the subtopics, and I wrote those all down, and then I looked for the PowerPoint. And because I had a list, I knew, oh yeah, I studied this now, and then I studied that. And so that was really helpful for me because like, I could visually see what I really needed to know and go through like some subtopics that I just had to have in my memory. And one of them, like some of them were super easy, they were like intellectual courses were more mastered, and so it was relatively easy to know I know this and this is what I have to solve.
Okay, so you matched the list of topics that you found to the PowerPoint presentation. presentation to help know that we covered all those items. Good? Good. Okay, what else? Anything I can improve on? My paper's filling up, that's good. So I have them up on in my office for next year. That's how I plan the new course. Again, it's been a really weird year. So as an instructor, I didn't feel good about various times here because I knew I was not keeping you on track as I wanted to. Okay, I'm still there. And Sophie,
Another thing that I was really like about the class is that sometimes we would have like hours where like we would just work like if half of the class was taken from the board and we would go out of those and work on the books, and it was very helpful because then like if you had a question you could ask it right away instead of waiting for a class when you would ask it like when we would have a Q&A session.
Yeah.
And so I thought that was also really helpful with like the exercise.
okay, good. I'll try and keep arranging those. Let me write that down. Okay, good. I'll keep doing that. Anthony.
Just to get back to the notes that you're talking before, where you go to the board, I think that's actually really helpful because I found myself like I've concepts I've looked at the notes more rather than the book. The book was like for me was more there to understand the problem or like to get some more like practice rather than understanding it. So in terms of understanding topics for the APA, I was looking back along those.
Okay, that's good for me to know. So notes you use to review more than all the concepts from the book. Good. Alex.
Yeah, just want to second that. When studying for our movement and stuff, it's a lot easier. Going everything.
Because it takes so much.
Exactly. And so the more notes we have in classes.
Okay, thanks. Good for me to know because again, Alex, I often question myself whether that's a good thing to do or not
Yeah, no, it's definitely.
as a teacher. Okay, so I'll keep doing that. And Sophie.
Yeah, I agree with that. It's also like even when I was working in the book, like I would use my notes and I would instead of like sometimes I would just stick the parts where you like read this because we had like covered it in class. And I would just go over my notes and then I would know how to do the practice problem for the test. And another thing that I really liked was like even though we went in lockdown, we like still tried to do as much as possible. And I really like that, like, while I was studying for like puzzles and those like exams, I would go back to some of the videos that you have posted about each time because like I didn't know things like one of the concepts or something, and I would just go watch and explain it again, which was really helpful. But if next year you guys do go into lockdown, something that I would have really liked is that was it like in the I don't know what it's called, the name of the video.
Yeah, tell what the topic is.
Yeah.
I'll do that. That's an easy thing. I should have done that this year. Thank you.
Yeah, because it was
So-
easier, so it would have been easier to go back to the specific video and watching all of the videos trying to find a specific topic.
So name the AP live streams with topics covered as well. Thank you. Good suggestion. Good suggestion. Other comments, questions, suggestions? I have one for you. What do you think after this whole year of the books? I know they're not perfect, but you probably haven't had a workbook since you were like, 8 years old or something, right? These were two giant workbooks. So what did you think of them in general? I'll go right across this way. Chelsea?
Well, I think it was a bit much at some point, just because a lot of the questions we answered in the book were things we had kind of gone through in class, just phrase it differently, but then we still read text. And it was also a bit daunting, just because it was so many pages when there was so much other work to do. I think the most helpful part of the books were probably the practice problems at the end, just because
At the end of each section?
exactly because that extra work and actually applying the things we learned and solving problems that really helped me understand it, or kind of really get into the flow of things. But I think a lot of like the random quick checks or practice problems that were in between was sometimes unnecessary. I'm not really sure. It was just because it was like so much. But the practice problems at the end, like that really, it also wrapped it up really nicely because it kind of like reviewed the whole chapter, the whole subchapter, I guess. And then kind of have like a good sort of practice and really getting into the flow of it. Yeah.
Good. So I'm writing maybe less of the book problems during the chapter, but the practice problems at the end, each section really wrapped up each section well.
Okay. One other thing, one thing that I think was not great though is that the questions in the book are not phrased the way the AP questions are.
Yeah.
Because they are good questions and so on, and I guess like maybe Cheryl is part of the AP board or whatever, but they're still phrased differently. And AP questions are a lot different. I don't know, so I don't think it really prepared us that well for the AP format. It was kind of just like for the material.
Yeah. That's true. That is true.
I would say that sometimes it's like the practice problem on this page, like 63 pages, and sometimes it felt kind of discouraging. Like, am I really getting my money's worth out of the book? It's really only.
When I had you skipping pages?
Yeah, I'm not telling you to assign every single problem. I'm just saying that sometimes it felt like it wasn't necessarily necessary to have a book. But then on the other side, like it felt like sometimes we were learning material from the book rather than in class. We weren't really doing the problems in class.
I'm thinking about what you just said. If Cheryl had sections that I felt were not on the AP, I generally had you skip them. But I don't feel like there were that many of those, except for in the first book, we skipped the last chapter on organic because it's not covered. But I tried to do that, to be honest, Feeny, to be fair to you guys, because I didn't want you learning stuff that you wouldn't be tested on, quite frankly, and that I think is less important as a chem teacher. But I understand that felt a little weird maybe at times.
Well, that's why I think, like Lola said, it's very important to take like the big ideas notes in class, because sometimes it really did feel like Cheryl was teaching us every little thing.
Cheryl taught a lot more details, didn't she?
Yeah.
Yeah, which is one reason I like her, but that makes it a lot more thick, so to speak. Anthony?
I actually feel kind of grateful against it many problems. I remember at the very beginning of the year, like next to the break, I got one of the books early and we started looking at chapter 2. And I like if you were to list and start taking notes, so I did the entire chapter 2 and it took me like over 2 weeks.
Oh, bad, Anthony.
It was just a lot of work. It was way more than the last 2.
Yeah.
I think it's good for practical material, but just towards the end, it was like we were like rushing through the last chapter.
Right. Yeah. Indeed they were. One reason I rushed you, be right with the answer. One reason I rushed you all is too, I'm really stubborn about this. I always want at least a couple of weeks review time with you, because I feel it would be a disservice to do, and I know some teachers are sort of stuck with this new stuff. Oh, there's your test. Good luck. And I really want to review with you every year. So what's so one reason I pushed so much to get know the last year, that was kind of cool in that way.
I was kind of grateful for the book and the help from the parents, but at the same time, I had to admit, there was like 1 week where I had to hide my feelings because I was feeling so much anxiety because there was so much, and these programs were so big,
Wednesday, we'll start a lab on titration. We'll probably not finish it up. And then a week from today, we will not meet. I will not meet with you here next Monday. If you got your books, hand them in to me, and I will grade them. Thank you. Bring them on Wednesday then, your books, please. Bye. See ya.
Like the SAT subject test on June 5th.
Ah,
So can I like give you the book after June 5th, or is that
that's pretty late. Can't you could you bring it Wednesday and I can try and grade it Wednesday night and give it to you Thursday? No, wait, I won't see you Thursday. Think about it. I'd rather not wait that long, but I'll consider it too, Arrow.